Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Some friends were talking to me yesterday and they said that what are the prospects of war? Everybody talks about the war. Even I have written that the possibilities are there, but is a war likely to happen, especially between China and USA? If I look at the history, then the Thucydides trap is likely to open. And Thucydides was a Greek scholar, Greek general as well, combination of the two, who talked about it. Now, Thucydides' trap is basically that when a power has been there for a long time and another power starts rising, then there is likely to be conflict. A rising power in the old 2500 years back, Athens, came in conflict with the dominant power Sparta. They were diametrically opposed interests and thus the end of war. Same thing happened again and again and again. Germany could not tolerate the dominating capability of England and USA, and the Second World War started. The first was again Caesar's ambition. So, if we look at that, then of course the rising power China would go for a war with USA. And then all the ingredients of the war are there. There's a North Korea trade war, there's a trade, there's South China issue, BRT issue, Brexit issue, trade issue basically. So the two countries are on a war path if we go by Thucydides' trap concept. The North Korean crisis, given the irresponsibility of North Korea, which continues to launch more missiles, act on by China on one side, Iran with its brinkmanship on the other, and the pride of USA on the third, are all ingredients of the possible war. Now the point arises that apart from the historical analogies and Thucydides' concept, does it apply today? As far as war is concerned, let me differentiate. Flare-ups would be there. Battles would be fought. Bloodshed would be there. Firings would be there. Bombings would be there. But there would be no war as such. Now, when I say no war as such, I mean the global conflagration. The armies of Pakistan and India fighting each other. India and China fighting each other. USA fighting with Iran, even maybe possibly Europe and USA combined fighting against Iran the way they fought against Iraq. All are possible. But one single war engulfing the whole universe, I don't foresee it happening in the near future. And why so? There are certain reasons. And most important is self-interest, awareness, are of a much more importance than ordinary thought to be. Today, the high level of trade and commerce, global in dimension, is no panacea for not have peace. And these are basically there today. The First World War happened because Germany wanted more market. Second World War happened because of that. But today, you don't get markets as a result of colonization. You get markets because of your quality and the cost of production. So, the high level of trade and commerce makes each country dependent on the other for something or the other, and they'll deter conflict. China and US are big trading partners. The war take place, the economy of China would be shattered. US is the biggest buyer purchaser of China. And their interdependence is so intense that even to think of going to war would be suicidal for them. So, a loss of confidence in the US security, for example, is there. Do you know that it will hurt China more than it will hurt USA? They have US securities of more than $1 trillion. All will go flat. Now, China is not a fool to lose over $1 trillion for the sake of victory which may not be there or which may be a Pyrrhic victory. And that's why, even if they fight over trade, they value it enough and they'll be very cautious. Secondly, globalization does not deter war in itself, but add to that nuclear weapons and mix carefully. The Thucydides trap happened when there were no nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons have no boundaries. You blast a bomb in China, the wind blows all the radioactive dust to Pacific, and USA suffers. So it's committing a suicide. Earlier, in the previous centuries, partly as a result of the uninhabited places, less population, and because it was a local war, the possibility was much more. But Hiroshima and Nagasaki have proved that throwing a nuclear bomb on others is killing yourself indirectly in the long run. Now, North Korea is strange in general, but resorting to war? No, that's not possible. We have evolved and 24-hour cycle, the moment there is a hint, the whole world is going to unite and say, hey, stop it. And that would stop it. And then, the reason is that global communication is light years ahead, even as recently. Excuse me. Not far back in 1962, Cuban Missile took place. And Russia and USA were not talking to each other before that. But then they picked up the phone, talked on the hotline, and things are better. So that helps. Next, the reason is that China and America are unique great powers. And since they're unique in their own way, they will not fight a war. China is migrating hundreds of millions of people in middle class, from the poor class to the middle class. It's obsessed with economics. From Beijing, aggressive expansion in areas such as South China is partly about securing energy. It's not that they want to control South Seas for itself. They need energy to fuel growth. And if there's a war, then what happens? China's all dreams will be shattered. And its behavior would be unacceptable. And then look at the history. We talk of the history, but the Chinese history has been of isolation. So much so that when Deng opened China to the world in 1978, care was taken that they are against being involved in conflicts. As I said, showmanship, yes. Send army to Doklam to terrify India. Send them to Arunachal Pradesh. But no war. Withdraw as soon as there is a danger of conflict. And indeed, USA has a unique position. It's a combination of geography, global economic interest, and nobody can deny that it wants to be hegemonistic. It is hegemonistic. It is controlling the world. But it doesn't want territorial expansion. It wants to control, but doesn't want to make it a part of USA. Like Portugal, when they said they controlled, they said Goa is our external province. Or England is saying Falkland is our province. No, it's not like that. So USA is not inclined to be territorially grasping. It will grasp economically and politically. So these features distinguish it from the historical great power. And as such, even USA would not like to be involved in a conflict with China. So both the countries want to be hegemonistic, want to be predominant, want to be eminent in their own affairs. But they are not likely to go to war and start throwing bombs on each other, because that would annihilate both, along with annihilating the rest of the world. And that is why even USA is giving much leeway to North Korea and even to Iran. Imagine it. Suppose what Iran has done now, had it done in the time of Truman, what would have happened? There would have been a war by now. Korea did much less, and there was a war. Even Saddam, when he went to Kuwait, did not do as much as Iran has done by first being the drone, then taking over the oil tanker, arresting their marines, insulting them, humiliating them. But USA did not go to war. And now recently their aeroplanes were buzzed. They did not go forward. They lodged a protest. They warned. They did everything. So a rising power such as China and a leading power like USA are facing tensions. Crisis can escalate. But war can begin as a result of miscalculation by accident or irrational behavior. But the instant communication can always take care of the accidents as well as miscalculation. Before the nuclear button is pressed, there's a time for recalculation. So diplomacy is much more important today and much more used today than it was times past. And secondly, let me tell you one thing. It's not only the diplomats who are sitting in the embassies and the consular offices who are important. It's a backdoor diplomacy, A. B, the hot links between the heads of the states. They are important. Third, the intelligence services are much more capable today. And they can foretell what's happening and say, Mossad knows something about China. They'll inform USA and then they'll inform other sister intelligence agencies. When look at this is happening, quite possible. Let's be prepared. Or let's take preventive action so that the war doesn't. The same would happen in the case of MI6. Same would happen in the case of Surete. Same would happen if CIA happens to learn it, or RAW learns it. So all these agencies correlate and inform their heads. And that's why, when India and China, Pakistan were ready to go to war, the information reached President Clinton, and he immediately called up Rajiv Gandhi and Benazir and told them, no way, we will not tolerate it. So there are many forces which are acting against the possibility of war. And those forces we underestimate. USA and China, yes, they foresee a lot of Cold War, a bit of a hot war. And then they're also capable of taking one step forward, two steps backward. Let's remember, history without assuming will not repeat itself the way it has been doing. It would have major issues, as I said. But those issues will be sorted out not by bombing, but by trade, by diplomacy, and also by a bit of war, a bit of fight, I'll call it. As I say, battles would always be there. War not in the immediate future. Thank you.